John of the Eye Patch, second half of chapter 17. John climbed the ladder from the quarterdeck all the way to the poop deck. It was considerably higher than the decks on the Dragon of Plunder. He peered over the back rail of the ship, easily 60 feet to the water. From above, looking down, he could see seaweed and kelp on the seafloor. He looked up towards the cove, where Blackbeard's longboats gave chase. The giant pirate captain stood at the front of one of the boats, his dozen pistols catching the sun. 4 orange-red fuse tips surrounded him, making a crown of smoke around his head. "John!" his mom called from the quarterdeck. He carefully climbed down and reported, "Blackbeard's behind us. He's gaining steadily, Mom." "Good." "What?" "What if Blackbird doesn't try to escape Blackbeard?" John asked. "He will," she said. "This is Blackbird we're talking about, Mom," John said. His mom's face fell slack as she sighed. "John, you're going to have to make sure he escapes." "Me? I've seen you swim. I want you to climb overboard, quickly, before we're too far from shore. I want you to get Blackbird to weigh anchor. I'll ditch from the Queen Anne's Revenge, and I'll swim to that outcrop." She pointed it out for John. "Why can't we both go together?" John asked. "Someone has to keep the ship away from Blackbeard, at least long enough for this plan to work." "You don't know enough about sailing to make that happen. So now, go! I said it, go now!" John scampered down to the main deck, and he ran to the rope ladder hanging over the side of the ship. He climbed halfway down before he felt he was close enough to the water that he could just jump and fall the rest of the way. He kicked off the side of the ship, and he waved his arms for balance before finally tucking into a cannonball to splash into the warm Caribbean Sea. The turbulence of the impact pulled the eye patch from John's face. He frantically grabbed for the eye patch, pulling it back into place and kicking to the surface of the sea. Queen Anne's Revenge sailed away from him, while behind him he heard Blackbeard's loud voice shouting, "Put your miserable backs into it! If we lose our ship, every one of you forfeits every share of loot you'd ever get." John turned towards the shore, and he began swimming as hard as he could. He didn't much want to be shot or captured if Blackbeard caught up with him. By the time John reached the shallows, his arms and legs ached. The beach was long, and he splashed through the water to the sand, and then to the tree line, so he could hide from Blackbeard's passing boats as they chased the Queen Anne's Revenge. With his Crocs on, he ran quickly through the jungle, crushing dry twigs and other vegetation underfoot. Keeping within the tree line to hide from Blackbeard and his men, John ran back towards the Dragon of Plunder. He reached the sheltered cove, and he saw the familiar 2 masts of Blackbird's schooner. John waited until the water was deep enough to swim, and quickly crossed the distance to the ship. By the time he hauled himself up to the ship's ladder, his arms were shaking with fatigue. He stood dripping wet on the deck of the Dragon of Plunder, panting for air, looking around for any signs of life. When he caught his breath, he yelled out, "Hello?" Silence responded. "Blackbird? Mr. Owens? Anybody?" John turned in circles. Cannons stood untended, the sails were furled, and there was absolutely nobody on deck. Had Blackbeard killed them and thrown them overboard? John wondered. He ran starboard and he looked out. Then he ran to port and he saw no sign of any bodies or anybody at all. Where had anyone gone? John checked the forecastle. While there were a few coals burning in the oven, the cabin was empty. He crossed the main deck to the captain's quarters and he found it locked. "Blackbird, are you in there? It's me, John." "John who?" someone called, followed by numerous "Shh, shh, you shush, shh, quiet, shh, I said shh. Your shh is louder than my talking. Shh." "John of the Eye Patch," he muttered. feeling underwhelmed by the nickname. Are you alone? Another voice called out, followed by more, shh, shh, don't talk, shh, don't say anything, shh, stop shhing me. Yes, I'm alone, John said. Where's Mary? A third voice called. This time, there was hushed silence accompanying the voice, like everyone was too eager to hear the answer to bother with shushing this time. Mary, the unmerciful, she stole the Queen Anne's revenge. What? This voice John recognized as Blackbird. What? What? And this voice was his parrot. John heard a latch slide free, and the door opened inward. The complete crew of the Dragon of Plunder was squeezed into the captain's quarters. Several of them were holding white flags. In the middle of them, Blackbird stood with his parrot on his shoulder. A demon using the voice o' John, that flamboyant boatswain said. Nah, that be a savage, no John, the Jamaican cook said. Look, he's got a voodoo skeleton on him. John looked down at the glow-in-the-dark shirt and remembered the camouflage face paint. He pulled his shirt up to smear away some of the face paint. It's me, it's John of the Eye Patch. John it be, Sean said. Boy, ya with the sight for thy sore eyes, Kofi said. And Blackbird held up a hand too, to silence them, and took a tentative step towards the door. And then he looked around the frame both ways, as if looking for a secret ambush. Then he poked John with a single finger, as if testing if he was really there. Blackbird then smiled wide. Thank the Sea King, it is John, and it's only John. He walked out of his cabin, putting his arm on John's shoulder. Now, did you say Mary stole the Queen Anne's revenge? Yes, and now we have to set sail. We have to rescue her, Blackbird, John said. Blackbird shook his head. Nope, no way, nada, not gonna happen. We have to. If we don't, Blackbeard will kill my mom, John said. Probably not, Blackbeard said. Probably not, the parrot parroted. He's not known for killing, Mr. Owens joined them on the main deck. You have to help, John said. Snapping his fingers. Better idea, Blackbird said. We tell Blackbeard, because I'm Blackbird, that this was all her idea. Basically a win-win. We get our ship back, and Blackbeard leaves us alone. Except for my mom. My mom doesn't win, and I don't win. With how much she handled the baboons, how much trouble could she be in? Baboons. Oh, yes. Mr. Owens. The baboons. Me be forgetting about the baboons, Mr. Owens said, stroking his beard. The shark, the jaguar, the boar, now baboons? John looked forward to a very long talk with his mom about her time in the Caribbean. He ignored all that and he said, We're going to help Mary. Now. Blackbird crossed his arms. Nope. John leaned in and squinted his eyes. Don't make me tell the crew what happened with the monkeys. You wouldn't! Blackbird's eyes widened in fear. John kept his eyes fiercely squinted. He wasn't entirely sure what had happened with the monkeys. Just that it was something more embarrassing than it was dangerous. But he couldn't let Blackbird know that he didn't actually know anything, so he maintained his bluff. Don't you know, Blackbird? Unmercifulness runs in our family.